All right, welcome to Suburban Tactical. In the United today, we've got friend Kurt Hollingshead. He's a former military. He's a veteran. He's a retired police officer. Um, Big fan of firearms. A firearm instructor. Got a lot of experience. So, welcome. Glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
Well, welcome for coming, and everybody comes on, gets a hat. So put your hat together, and looking forward to talking with you.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I'll wear the hat.
Your military service and your LEO service
All right.
and stuff, and start off there, and then wherever that takes us into guns and anything else. Don't really care.
Sure. Yeah, no, it was kind of funny. Out of high school, turned 18 when I was a senior in high school, so I took off and went to the Army recruiter, and I wanted to be an MP.
Yeah.
And so I go and I talk to the recruiting office, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, the MP Academy's closed." I'm saying, "Oh, okay, no big deal." So I started leaving, right? It's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, the used car salesman thing going
Yeah,
on.
exactly. And it was a lot different. This was 84, right? So I
Yeah.
mean, it's a big difference. And so, like, what would be your second choice? And I didn't have one, And he said, "Well, I mean, what interests you?" I said, "Well, blowing stuff up sounds like fun." He says, "Oh, EOD? No,
No.
no, I don't want to defuse other people's stuff. I don't want to do
Yeah.
that." He says, "Well, then you want to be an engineer." Okay. He says, "Yeah, you want to be a combat engineer, and we'll teach you to blow stuff up, shape charges, cratering charges,
Yep.
playing with det cord, C4, that kind of thing." And so I got off, got sent to beautiful Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, down to the $1 Million Hole, and just learned to blow stuff up. It was fun. It had a good time. I remember, I'm old enough to remember the commercials when you were watching TV, and the PSAs would come on and say, if you find a blasting cap, don't pick it up. Run and tell an adult.
Yeah.
People were just leaving blasting caps laying around all over the place, And here they're just handing them to us, and we're throwing them around, and we're playing. It's like, these things.
Well, when I lived in Guam, they would find stuff like that. They would be digging to build something, and they would dig up bombs. And so then they'd have to call out, the military would come out and dig it up the rest of the way and
Right on.
defuse it and then take it out to their range and blast it.
Well,
And they'd always warn you if it was going to be pretty good size that you're going to hear something.
Oh, wow.
And
that'd be cool.
yeah,
That'd be cool.
but it happened, monthly, and they would shut down traffic all around and everything. And
All right.
yeah, it was a deal, and that was 2010. But yeah, all right, this is
Stuff had to be unstable as could be.
well, probably it wasn't going to go off no matter what they did.
Yeah,
They probably
they had to coax it.
yeah, they had to get it to move along because it's been there for so long, and somebody had already hit it with a backhoe.
Yeah.
Once it got dropped and buried itself in the earth, and then 60 years later, somebody comes along and digs it up with a backhoe.
Mm.
But
Probably not a great idea.
well, they had to do. That's what they had to do.
Right.
I don't. Never heard of anything going off while they were digging. It just seemed like everything was pretty. I hate to use the word stable, but it didn't cause any problems. The other one that I was surprised was the amount of ordnance. I had a friend that was a diver,
Mhm.
and the amount of ordnance that they found diving.
Oh, but
Just full boxes and full clips of big long strings of ammo and stuff just laying there, and they left it all. They never brought any of it back up.
probably safer just laying down there.
Probably, and then just some sort of a code about they'll bring trash up out of the bottom
Yeah.
that they find, but anything else they pretty much leave there.
Sure.
But
Now I'm an engineer, and got stationed at beautiful Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, of all things, right? Join the Army, see the world, and so I got assigned to a little detachment, little combat engineer detachment up there, and they were like facilities engineers. And so good group of guys, great people, great guys. And walked in like, I was lost, man. I mean, I'm an 18-year-old kid. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, right? And this old CW4 was in there and called him Daddy Rabbit. He's a great guy. I still miss him. And took me under his wing, showed me my cage. I had a whole cage.
Wow.
I'm just 18-year-old kid.
Had everything.
And I got a whole cage full of stuff that goes boom, and it's like, this is cool. And my whole job was to keep the fire lanes clear. So
wow.
I'm just blowing the shit out of trees is kind of what it boiled down to.
So what kind of explosives were you mainly using?
Det cord mostly.
Okay.
And I just wrap trees with det cord and just, man, they'd fall over, and then the guys would come out and cut them up, and we'd move them off it was a dumb job, but it was something that somebody had to do.
Yeah.
And they had a rider in my file, my 201 file, that said if the MP Academy opened up, I could go.
Yep.
And about a year, so 10 months, a year, MP Academy opened up. So Daddy Rabbit came up. He goes, they called me Hog. That was just a nickname. And it's Hog, why you want to be an MP? It's like, that's what I want to do, And so gave me a send off, and then I became an MP. Ended up with the 102nd. Fantastic good group of guys. Had a CID unit attached to us, so we'd help out CID. And those guys were pretty cool. Liked going out with those guys, doing whatever it was they were doing.
So you were just helping with them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pretty much. We did patrol.
Yep.
Anytime. DOD is a lot like law enforcement.
Right.
They got to do 40 hours of training a year. So DOD, instead of doing it throughout the course of the year, they do it all at once. So we'd go and backfill bases when DOD had to do their 40 hours of training.
So you were traveling around to go backfill them?
Yeah,
okay.
A little bit. And so they might put us on a Chinook. They might just give us a government minivan, and we'd drive someplace or whatever. And we'd cover bases for the DOD. It worked out pretty good. And then when we took over, though, it was our base.
Okay.
So, like when we ended up at Red River Army Depot down in Texarkana, down there, civilians hated us because there was so much stuff going out that gate at the end of the day in lunch boxes and trunks of cars. And we checked everything going out the gate, and they hated us. So we'd show up once a year at Red River, and they're like, oh, God, these guys are back. So
I've actually been there.
No, it's a great place. I like Red River.
We back after Hurricane Katrina, we hauled a bunch of FEMA trailers there.
Oh, right on.
I'm trying to remember if that was before they went down to the Gulf Coast or after. I can't remember. But yeah, I remember going down there.
I was actually tickled to death. That Humvee I got, it actually says it's got a sticker in it from the Texarkana, Texas, from the depot.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah. And it ended up it came from Montana, but at some point it was in Red River. And the sticker.
That's pretty cool.
Sticker's still on there, so I just left it.
Yeah.
I figured, I got some history at Red River, so I'll leave it there. So learned to drive a train there. That was kind of cool. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. It looked really good on my military driver's license. It was the nomenclature for a military train.
That's
wow.
My motor sergeant always made fun of me because he's like the only guy in the.
Hey, when it hits the fan, we got Kurt. He can drive the train.
He can drive the train. Yeah. So it was stupid, but it was, I don't know. It was more of a novelty than anything.
How much training did it require to get certified to drive a train?
1 week.
Okay.
It's 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually 4 days.
I don't know. That seems kind of inadequate to me.
We didn't have very far to go.
Oh, okay.
Just the length of the base. It wasn't very big. In 89, I came to thriving metropolis of Gardner, Kansas. It was kind of funny. I applied originally with the sheriff's department, and because I knew Frank Denning at the time, who was a detective at the time. And I knew Frank, and I went and talked to him. I went and took my test and met a couple of really cool old detectives that were up there. Frank introduced me guys like Herb Shuey, just some guys that just aren't around anymore.
Yep.
Really good guys. And went down to the Mustache Cup for lunch, and it's not there anymore.
What was that? I never even heard of that.
Oh my God, that's where that parking garage is. It's downtown, just south of the courthouse, where the old courthouse was.
Right.
In Olathe.
Okay.
That's where the parking garage is now. It's called the Mustache Cup, and it was an amazing restaurant. The pork tenderloins were the size of a frisbee.
Wow.
And oh yeah, it was fantastic food. I think when they closed, they reopened over on the west side of Olathe, and I don't think they lasted very long. But,
Yeah, that seems familiar, but I can't remember where it was at.
yeah, I think they were over on the west side someplace. I don't remember, the little strip mall.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But and that was back in the day though, when the county jail was on the 4th floor of the courthouse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I can remember, we would make an arrest here in Gardner, and we'd take him to the sheriff's office, and we had to get in an elevator with a guy we just fought with and fight with him all the way up the elevator to the 4th floor, where the deputies were waiting for us to open the door, and then they just kind of swooped in,
So what year did the jail go out of the 4th floor? Because it was there for quite a while, wasn't it?
It was there for a long time. It went out of the 4th floor when they built the new jail out here at New Century.
Okay,
and
yeah.
I don't remember what year that was. I remember
it went out before then because they built the jail across the street.
Yeah, you're right. They did.
Yeah.
They did. They
And
put it over against the railroad tracks.
And they were building that. They were starting to build that when I moved here, and then when I worked for MedAct, I mean, we were in there all the time,
Right.
And so I always remember it being there. So it probably had to have opened up in early '90s,
Maybe
91, 92.
I do remember now that jail, because I remember when Olathe would have their street dances and stuff. You'd see prisoners that had the window cells watching out the windows.
Yeah,
I do
Old
remember
Settlers
that.
Day. Yeah,
Yeah, during Old Settlers.
That's just mean. That's just mean.
I do remember that. There was easy to get in and out though. I remember the jail though. It was easy to get in and out of. They had a couple of couple shoots that you could get into, and funny stories. Most of them I'm probably not going to bring up here.
Yeah, I've got a few too from that jail. If we ever do a podcast on serial killers, I got about a half hour to kill. But,
Yeah.
Serial killers in Olathe jail?
Well, yeah, no, actually a mass killer.
Mm-hmm.
I took her to the hospital. She tried to kill herself. That was exciting.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, she's still alive, still very mentally ill. She's down at Osawatomie, the state hospital there. But yeah.
Wow.
That was exciting night.
I know when I started here in Gardner, I was officer number 5.
Wow.
So if that tells you anything.
Well, there was probably about 3,000 people in Gardner then? 4,000.
Population was 4,000.
Because when I moved here in '88, it was over 3,000.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 183rd was gravel still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's
Who was chief when you started?
Francis.
Was he?
Chief, yeah. Kenny was chief. He hired me. I remember when he hired me, he says, "Well, I got some bad news. I'm going to hire you." No. It was great. We started out our old station. The station I started at was on Elm Street.
Mm-hmm.
They're 100 block of South Elm, next to what used to be the old downtowner.
Yep.
So, okay, we were in that rock building there to the south. Those 2 outcroppings that you see on the south side of the building, that's where 2 holding cells were.
Oh, wow.
And we had those put in, and we actually, the jail doors, and I don't know if they're there anymore. I would have no idea. But the 2 metal doors that were from the old jail on the 4th floor at the courthouse.
Oh,
when they were demoing that, we got those 2 cell doors.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was kind of neat.
I wonder where they ended up.
I don't know. It'd be cool if they're still there, because they came out of the 4th floor of the courthouse.
Huh.
If they're still there, they might make kind of a cool collector out of it,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
if they're there.
So when did you go? Because you went over for a while. You went over to Ramstein, didn't you?
No,
In Germany. Was that
we spent some time. We were actually in K-Town, Kaiserslautern.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah,
Done that.
great town, great place.
I was there a couple years ago.
Yeah. It was really cool. I love Germany. I'll go back if I ever get the chance. We just had a ball. German people are great. It's cool. You know, you go downtown and you got statues of German soldiers.
Right.
You know, it's just neat. The architecture, everything that wasn't blown to hell looks really cool, you know. We stayed, if you've ever seen any of Hitler's, like the old black and white footage of him standing in front of a giant clock,
Okay.
that was our barracks.
Wow.
That clock tower was our barracks. And during the time he was giving his speeches, those were horse stables. That's where they kept their horses. So
Was that in Kaiserslautern?
that's
Was that up on that ridge? Or where was
no,
it
it's
at?
inside the caserne.
Oh,
It's-
okay.
Yeah, it's in the caserne, and that clock tower was only 100 yards off the back gate.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, it was pretty close to the back gate, and that was a cool assignment. I liked Germany a lot. We were there. The UN, or let me back up, Germans were working on UN vehicles down there. So what they had is one of the big warehouses where Germany built their tanks. This warehouse has a horizon on it. This thing is huge. And they would bring in blown up UN vehicles, and just stall after stall after stall are UN vehicles that have got different things have happened to them, where they've hit a landmine, an IED, something. They'd find guns in them, they'd find weapons in them, things like that, and that was our job. They'd find something in one of these vehicles, and we'd have to go pick it up, take it, bring it in, register it, and get it locked up. And that was cool. It was shocking though to see the amount of damage to these vehicles.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes the Germans that were working on them could tell by the damage to the vehicle what had happened to it, what had hit.
Really?
They were that good and had been working on them that long. They could tell you, oh, this hit a landmine. You know.
Yeah.
So
did you go back into the service for a while, or after you became a cop, or
the whole time I was a cop, I was in the reserves.
okay?
I was in the Army Reserves.
And that's when you were in the reserves when you went over to Ramstein, Germany.
Uh-huh.
Okay, all right.
And yeah, I wanted to be a cop. It's all I ever wanted to be. And so the MPs sounded like that worked out,
Right.
you know, so I'm doing that. And then UCMJ and the Constitution, they kind of work together.
Mhm.
And then the laws of Kansas, a lot of it transitioned over. It was just how you worded it, and it rotated around, so it wasn't too confusing.
So did you have to do any training for law enforcement when you're on the civilian side?
Oh God, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I got sent to the police academy. Back then, everybody went out to Hutch.
Mm-hmm.
So Johnson County didn't have their own academy at the time. So back then it was only 8 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
really nothing carried over from the military training then?
no, the only thing you could get, not really, back then, you'd try to, the Army would tell you, well, join the Army, get experience, and you transition into
Right.
your civilian life. Doesn't really work. Some employers look at you, it's like, oh, cool, you got military training, that's cool. Other employers look at you like, yeah, well,
You're going to start over.
yeah, you see, I start over. It was kind of nice. I was used to being yelled at. I was used to being ordered around. I
Right.
was used to the, I was used to the structure. Yeah, you screw up in the Army and you find yourself standing in front of the old man's desk. Well, you screw up as a cop, you find yourself standing in front of the old man's desk.
Yep.
So I mean, it's
Kenny Francis was kind of like that.
yeah. Kenny was a good guy.
He I wasn't a cop, but he liked me. So
Yeah. Well,
we got along.
you were in the first group that came to our house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I was.
That was,
And I drove a race car. So
And you drove race cars.
That's
which
why
made
he
him
liked
happy.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. Spent a lot of weekends out at the dirt track.
Yeah.
But no, Kenny was a good guy, but we, driving back and forth out to Hutch, going to the academy for 8 weeks. You go out there for a week, drive home on the weekends, go back out for a week, drive home on the week, just how it was. Again, it was only 8 weeks. I don't know what the guys go to now, but it's a lot more than 8. And,
So were you originally from Kansas?
Mhm.
So you joined the military, then came back to Kansas in the military.
in the military, just never left.
So then what, were you already in Gardner, or what brought you to Gardner?
No, I got directed here, suggested I come here. I applied for the sheriff's office. And Frank suggested, he's like, back then, if you started with the sheriff's department, you started out in the jail. Everybody went into the jail. Well, Frank knew me. I had horses and dirt bikes, and he knew me, and he's like, you'll go nuts in there. Sorry about that. He said, you'll go nuts in the jail. He said, you need to be outside. He says, go down and talk to this guy. He writes down Kenny Francis.
Okay.
And he said, go down and talk to Kenny. And he said, my name will get you in the door, and the rest of it's up to you. And I said, fair enough. So his name got me in the door.
So you never did the sheriff then? You
Nah,
went straight to.
Never did.
So Gardner PD is the only police department you've worked for also?
Mhm.
Wow, whole career.
Yeah, whole career in
You
Gardner.
know, somewhere in there, you've got to explain your short-lived movie career.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Did a couple movies while I was there.
Far and Away, you were in that.
Yeah, I'm in Far and Away. We did Dances with Wolves.
Oh, that's right.
Which I can't be seen in. I can show you where I'm at. I can put a big red dot, but you can't see me
So
at all.
Far and Away, you were in the land rush
Land
scene
rush
where it was
scene.
just a line of wagons and horses and stuff.
Oh yeah, and it was cool.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be done in one take, and if I remember right, we did it in 13.
Wow. So how, you got to tell me, how'd you even get to that point?
That's just weird. I'm a history nut. I love history, and I started doing. They had a Civil War reenactment at Mahaffey Stagecoach stop there in
Okay.
Olathe, right?
Yep.
And it's like, oh, this is cool. I'll go look at it and see what's going on. And I was by myself, so I was completely unchaperoned.
And how old are you at this point?
No, I'm 18 at this point.
Okay.
No, 17.
Okay.
So I'm a young guy. And I'm watching this, and this is so cool. And the first guy I came to after the battle, the guy comes, sits down underneath a tree. And I said, wow, that was really cool. How can I do this? And 2 events later, I was down at Osawatomie doing John Brown stuff and had a pair of brand new breeches, a borrowed gun, and a homemade shirt,
Wow.
It was just, and we still do it. My family, my kids grew up living history. My kids aren't afraid of anything. They grew up, we put on a full-blown Wild West show. My daughter sang the national anthem as a little girl, standing on top of a stagecoach.
That's awesome.
In front of hundreds of people.
So they found you, they recruited you as extras for the movies through the reenactment?
Yes and no. This is back, movies were going on and they figured out that reenactors were a great resource because we had all our own stuff. So
Cheap.
we're cheap, and Hollywood didn't have to provide anything. We'd set up our own camps. They didn't have to have trailers, and they just give us some food to cook and stuff. And then, and we got paid. They did pay us good, and they took good care of us. But I had a friend who had started doing movies. He'd done quite a few, and his Wrangler was needing some young blood, more people. And so Sean gave him my name, and Wrangler got a hold of me, and he said, "Hey, we're doing this movie. Sean told me about you. Would you be interested?" Yeah, sounds like fun. Okay. So I gave him all my information. He told me where to go, contact person, that kind of stuff. And we showed up. Most fun we had, though, was Far and Away. That was probably the most fun. We were 30 miles outside of Butte, Montana. And they still film movies there today. I mean, there is a whole Hollywood.
Wow.
There's a town set up
just for that
in a big open field, and guys can still use it. And there's a lot of movies being filmed there, and they build buildings and tear them down, and it's based on what they're doing.
I always just thought that was interesting. I wondered how you got into it. I never heard the story.
Yeah, that it's not real glamorous. It's not like they came by and said, "Ooh, we need you," And you could yell and scream, and if you're doing charges, or you can hoop and holler. But if you had any talking parts, you had to have a SAG card. Oh. And that happened to an acquaintance of mine. He was with another unit and was in the cavalry, and they took a bunch of hits, and he had an arrow in his chest and was leaning up against a wagon wheel. And he started saying something, and it sounded so good they got it caught on film. So the director made a phone call, got the guy a SAG card, so they could use what he said in the movie.
So what is a side card?
It's
Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah.
It's the union.
Oh,
it's
okay.
their union, and they're real picky. If you don't have a card and you're got actual, even a line in a movie, somebody's checking it.
Wow.
So it's kind of a big deal. So, they're just my weird circle of things.
Yeah. So then you came back to Gardner. You were a cop for how many years were you a cop?
On paper it says 16, but it was 20.
Yeah.
And it was because I did some reserve time, and you do 1,000 hours a year as a reserve. You're not getting recognized as a full-time cop. So, so we moved from the small station down on Elm to our old station, 440 East Main.
Yeah, that's the one I was at.
That's the one you were at.
They just tore down.
They tore down.
Yeah.
It was an old Contel phone building.
Oh.
And then they built bays on the side of it because we were public safety.
Right, right.
And a lot of people don't understand what public safety is. We were police, fire, and medical. So in that one station, we did all three things. I was not only a police officer, I'd reached the rank of fire captain, and I was an EMT. And I had to keep track of all that stuff and had to go to all that stupid training.
Wow.
I feel like all we did was train. And some of the guys would make fun of you because you got your bunker gear in the back seat of your patrol car. Well, we got on scene before the fire trucks did. So
right.
It was kind of handy having it. We had some good, we ran public safety till 2010 when the city gave it away and gave it to Fire District number 1.
Yeah.
And I had the option of going. I was offered our brand new station on 183rd. So if you want to go with the fire department, I'll give you the station.
Wow.
And you can come there. And I wanted to be a cop, so I stayed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I stayed. So, and Kenny hired me. And I wasn't going to abandon him.
Yeah.
So there was some loyalty there. And I wasn't going to leave him. So, We lost, can't remember if it was 5 or 7 cops that,
Oh, really?
yeah, I can't remember how many we lost, but when the fire department moved, they went to become full-time firefighters instead of staying on.
Wow, they like that better, huh?
Mhm. Yeah, I can't remember if it was 5 or 7. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a while.
Some of them are still there. Some of them, they're friends of mine. I know them.
Yeah.
And they're still there. They haven't retired yet. And some of them have moved on, but yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I was there, I remember all the people that came through that, they went everywhere. They went to Overland Park and Olathe and the FBI. And,
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of different places. Sheriff's Department.
No, we trained an awful lot of cops that went other places and went on to have great careers. Yeah. No, it was nice. I could have gone to a bigger department or something else. I just liked Gardner, and I kind of grew with the city.
Yeah.
I was gonna say a lot's changed over that time span in Gardner.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Like I said, these houses weren't here.
Yeah, where we're sitting was a field.
This was a field.
Matter of fact, I remember the police department used to pick up vagrants, and there was a motel right out here off the exit ramp.
Yeah, Santa Fe Motel.
Put them up overnight there. Get out of town. Because that was far enough out of town, they didn't figure they were coming back.
No,
we at that motel.
That motel, it was the Santa Fe Trail Motel.
Yeah,
and that was, I'm old enough to remember that motel when it was in Olathe. That motel used to be across the street, across 56 Highway from where the Olathe Police Station is now.
Oh, okay.
So that's where that motel was. Yeah. And it got bought and picked up and moved and brought down here.
Physically moved the building?
Physically moved the buildings, pushed them back together. And,
wow.
And had a motel down there. And it was right next to what we called Oyers. And that was that gas station that's down there now that I think is a liquor store too.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was it. That's all that was out there.
Yeah. That
was just those two, the Santa Fe Trail Motel and that gas station. And that was it.
Yeah, there was nothing out there. Now they're building a Whataburger.
That'll be nice.
They're building one over there?
Yeah. They broke ground on it last week.
Right on.
So over there. Yeah.
So since you're in the know, what happened? Is that Taco Bell still a cantina?
No.
Okay. I was excited because I thought I could have tacos and a beer.
Yeah, we were too. It sucks because you don't even get to talk to anybody. You go in there and you have to order on the screen.
Really?
The people that are behind the counter are worthless. I refuse to go over there.
Oh,
no, Josiah loves it. I don't. I've been there once.
Maybe you got to be that age to. When I walk in to get a restaurant, I want somebody to take my order and get the food. And it's like you might as well just order on your phone and go in there and pick it up because it's the same thing.
Sure.
And
I saw that they got a window you can pick up your order outside. So you don't even have to go in and talk to anybody if you don't want to.
We've probably been there 3 times, and I don't think our order's ever been right once.
No, wow. I know. I was excited because I knew it was a cantina. It's like, oh yeah, tacos and a beer for lunch.
But it's got to be better than the other Taco Bell in town. Yeah. All right. So what got you into guns? Because you're big into guns. Is it your service in the military that got you interested in it more?
No, it was my dad. As dumb as it sounds, is where it started. No. My dad has never been a big gun guy. He's just had guns. And when I was a kid growing up, Dad had an old World War II Luger that I just thought was it's an original. It's all numbers matching. What a nice pistol. And had a 22, and I could remember as a kid, we'd be out hunting or something. He had that 22 strapped on his belt, and I just remembered as a kid thinking, that's
someday.
Cool. That someday I'll have my own. And when I got into reenacting, you don't have to. 18 years old, you can buy black powder pistols. Yeah. So it's like, woohoo! So I'm buying pistols, and I'm whacking the barrels off. I'm making little bitty stubbies out of them, and as I moved on, got into cavalry, and now you're carrying pistols all over the place. You got them on the pommel, and you got 4 around your waist.
Yep.
And, just I liked guns. I enjoyed them, and of course military. Shot M16s. Had to qualify there. When I became an MP, I had to qualify with the 1911. We still had 45s back then. And
What brand were they?
They
Were they Colts?
I think so.
Okay.
I think they were loose as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd rattle.
Mm-hmm.
You know. You could shoot qualifying scores with them, shoot expert with them. They were good guns. They were just loose as hell, and they were all shot out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we went to the Berettas, what would be the 92F, and that was cool because that was what I was carrying in Gardner.
Really?
I was carrying a 92F when I started here. No, my second gun here was a 92F.
I think I remember those because I remember when you guys got the Glocks.
Yeah.
And you went from those to the Glocks.
Yeah, I was the last holdout. I was the very last one. I'd been helping with range, and Jim Moore is a lieutenant. He was our range master at the time, and I helped him every chance I could.
Yep.
Because I wanted to learn what he knew. So that's what I could do. I want to be a range master. I want to be a range instructor. And so after we got the Glocks, I said, I was the last holdout. I was the last one, had that Beretta still on my belt. And he says, hey, meet me out at the range. I got one of these Glocks. I need you to shoot it. Oh, okay. So I came out. I said, what's wrong with it? He says, I don't know. Something weird about it. Just, it was a little Glock 19. And he's like, here, just go up there and, put 25 rounds down range. Okay. So I grabbed 3 magazines and went down range, and ran 25 rounds through it. Gun worked just fine. Wasn't a thing wrong with it. It operated fine. And I came back and I told him, I said, there's nothing wrong with this. This gun shoots fine. I said, I don't like the safety, but I said, the gun shoots fine. There's nothing wrong with it. He said, good, that's yours. Rest of your stuff's in your mailbox.
So you guys started off with the 19? Not the 17?
No, we had 17s and 19s.
Okay.
And I think we just had one leftover 19, and that's what I got issued.
Yeah. Okay.
So as kind of how I think it went. And then I carried that 19 for a long time. And I'd been a sergeant. So I got promoted in 99 to sergeant. I can't remember when I got the 17. I went to a range. I was already a range master at this point. I got sent to school and got all trained up. And so it was my gig. And I had a really good assistant range instructor. And then we brought on another one. And we're just trying to build a really good firearms, unit. And we started doing training we'd never done before, shooting out of cars. I'd get a hold of Marvin, have him bring me one of his cars out to the range, and we'd shoot out of the car through the windshield because nobody knows where that first bullet's going. So you got to make a hole for it,
right.
And so we shot through the windshield. We shot around them, did all kinds of stuff with the cars, did a lot of that.
Was the range out where it's at now, or?
Yeah, it's behind the southbound scales.
Yeah. Okay.
We even shot out at my place a few times. I think I made my neighbors nuts because we did have some machine guns. We picked up, I can't remember what those things were. We like 3 of them, like 3 machine guns we bought from somewhere. And we just kept them in the armory. They never did go into the cars, but I felt like they needed to be exercised.
Yep.
So
that's very conscientious of you.
They were
I'm a giver.
The Bushmasters, weren't there?
No.
No?
These, I want to say they're FNs.
Okay.
I think they were FNs. And we couldn't take them to KHP's range. So
right.
took him to my range at my house, and it was just cracking off full auto rounds back there. And I know the neighbors didn't know what the hell was going on. And so that was fun. And then we finally got our stags. We made a deal with Stag, and we traded Stag some guns that we had, and got all of our units outfitted with Stags. I think if I remember right, we had one extra just as a backup in case something happened.
Yep.
And started training guys on how to operate with the M4s or with the, AR-15s.
So what were they using for long guns before that?
Shotguns.
Okay. So you just had your pistol and shotgun before that.
Yeah, just your standard cop equipment back then. So then for a long time we had dual racks in the cars. We carried the M4s or the M16s and then a shotgun beside it.
Right.
And then we went to less lethal. I don't even know if they're carrying any of that anymore unless they got it in the back of their SUV. I'm sure they just got the rifle up front with them.
Yeah, probably so.
I would think. So, and then I think, and don't hold me to this, but I think we had one of the very first female firearms instructors in Gardner. If not the first.
Well,
we had at least one of the first. She was really good. And I retired from Gardner in 2018.
I remember that party.
I don't remember much about it. No, it was a great time. It was a great time. Had a lot of people turned out for my retirement, which I thought was really cool.
yeah, that's awesome.
So I remember they gave you your gun as a plaque, right? Now.
Yeah. It's just an engraved Glock 17 and fully operational. It shoots just fine. it's engraved, and they gave you a nice box to put it in.
So what's your thoughts on Glock now?
I like them. I've shot a lot of guns over the years. I just like them. You just run them.
Yeah.
I still don't like the safety. I mean, as far as I'm concerned,
there isn't one.
There isn't one. Although the drop safety is really nice.
Right.
Because I about blew my head off. If it hadn't had a drop safety, I'd probably be dead. Because I don't remember what I was doing. I dropped it and it landed right on the bench, and I'm looking right down the barrel.
Oh, wow.
It's like, thank God for a drop safety. But
so did they put you through the armor class and all that?
Yep. Yep. I was a Glock armor and went through in, I can't remember the city, it was Prairie Village, somewhere. They've sent us up there and got us all trained up. A couple of us in Gardner got trained up on how to armor the Glocks. We got trained on how to armor our M4s, our rifles, and got trained up on, I don't remember now, it was some Colt. It was a little Colt pistol that they had us train on too. Glocks are easy to work on. I like working on them. The ARs, of course, they're cake to work on.
Yep.
It's like Barbie dolls for adults. They're cool. A lot of room for furniture. I mean, you can just trick them out and do whatever you want to do with them.
So your personal Glocks now, are they box stock, or have you done anything to them?
They've been played with.
Okay.
They've been played with. The only stock one I have is the one I was having engraved.
Yep.
I was able, and props, the former firearms instructor for Gardner, he and I were friends. This was just a couple of years ago. I carried those two pistols in Gardner. I carried the 19 and the 17. And the 17 is the one I got engraved and they sent home with me. But I knew my 19 was still out there. It was still in Gardner. And it had been issued to one of the detectives, for obvious reasons. I mean, it's a little gun.
Right.
And I told him, I said, if you ever get rid of that gun, if they ever go to replace it, I want it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, and I don't know if we still are, but we traded our guns into GT distributors. Yeah. And then, so they would get our old guns. And everybody on the department knew I wanted that Glock 19. And it came around and it became available. And the former range instructor at the time got a hold of me. He says, hey, your Glock 19's available. And he reached out to the new chief that's there. And she's like, just give it to him. It's his gun. Just give it to him. So he came up one day. I was at work and he came up and, hey, Sarge.
Wow.
And handed me my Glock 19.
You didn't have to do any paperwork or anything on it, huh?
Well, I just had to sign so that they knew who has it.
Yeah.
But so now I've got 2 kids, and each one of my kids, I'm going to get the 19 engraved so it matches my 17. And that way, when I'm gone, each one of them will get one.
Yeah. So did you carry either the 19 or the 17 or both at the same time?
Not at the same time.
Okay.
I started out with the 19. And then one of the firearms instructor schools I was at 19 was giving me fits. And the instructor handed me a 17. And it was a better gun for what I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think a 19 would be the perfect duty gun. It's a little on the small side.
I liked it. I mean, it wasn't... I've been quick getting them out of the holster, and I always have been.
Yep. And
the 19 came out real fast.
Yeah.
And 17 can come out pretty quick too. But I just got used to using it. Once the instructor let me use his 17, and I finished the course, completed it with his, because I was able to complete that one course of fire because I couldn't get it done with the 19.
Okay.
And I came back to the station and I checked myself out of Glock 17 and checked the 19 in. So I figured I had control of the guns, so that made that pretty easy.
So do you carry a pistol now?
Yeah.
And what is it?
I'm carrying a 43.
Okay, so you're still Glock.
I'm still Glock. No, it's and I don't want to sound like I'm gun crazy or anything, and I'm not. But yeah, I got a 43 that. Well, I apologize for that cough. I like 43. If I'm out on the property and want a gun, I'll throw the 17 in a holster. And we'll get back there with it. And I've got sights or tack lights on the 17s. 19 is just kind of a bigger concealment gun if I need it.
Yep.
But that 43 disappears pretty easy.
It does. They're nice and small.
Yeah.
So, out of everything, what's your favorite gun that you've ever owned?
Oh boy,
or still own?
I've got a Model 87 that I just really, really like, and that's just fun. Got a Henry 45 long Colt that's just an awful lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I don't know that I could.
It's like asking your favorite child. Which is your favorite child?
Which one? Yeah, which one do you like better? I don't know. Guns have a purpose, and you have different guns for different things. And I guess depending on what the thing is, I need that particular gun for. At least at the time I'm using it, that's probably my favorite one for the whatever it is I'm using it for.
All right. We were talking about this earlier before we started this, and you recently got a new vehicle.
Oh boy!
You can talk about that just for a little bit.
Yeah, I just picked up a military Humvee. It's a M9. Was it 1947, 1047?
The county didn't even know what to call it.
County didn't know what to call it. It's It's a military Humvee.
Yeah.
I was selling a car on Marketplace, I guess, and is a car I had, and I was selling it on Marketplace, and I'd said no trades. And I had a guy reached out, and he says, I know your ad says no trades, but he said, I might have something you want. Okay, what do you got? Well, I got this Humvee. Okay, I'm interested.
Yes.
So
Set the hook. He just starts
and
reeling
then
in
he
now.
just reeled me in.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty nice vehicle. It's your standard. It's what you'd find at it's a government surplus vehicle.
Yeah.
I mean, and it.
You got the soft top on it.
It's got a soft top. It's 4-door.
You're gonna find one of the turtle shells for it, the hard tops.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to actually put a turtle back on it with the hatch if I could. Put a set of X doors on it or something.
Yeah.
When I was an MP, that's what we had, and 4 guys can live pretty comfortably in one of those. Oddly enough, I like it. I don't have any big plans for it right now. I just want to get it painted, get it running better, and.
I thought it ran pretty good when I drove it.
When you drove it.
What'd you do to it?
Oh, it runs fine.
Okay.
It runs fine. But, yeah, I just want to get it painted, get it all
So how are you going to paint it?
cack paint,
Okay.
cark paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've got enough of the paint ready to go. I'm just kind of waiting on it to stay above freezing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and it's, military colors. I'm just going tan and black with it. It's got a OD green replacement hood on it. It's an eye turner though. It's funny because people aren't used to seeing them around.
Yeah.
I drove it to O'Reilly to get parts for another vehicle my son and I were working on, and we couldn't get out of the parking lot. I had a guy was getting in his car when I pulled in, and he came down to see that and looked all over it, and another guy got dropped off, and he ran over and was looking all over the thing. They're a little bit of an eye catcher. They're just you're not used to seeing them.
You don't get a chance to ever get up close to them, And if you do, there's a bunch of guys in them with guns. Usually,
yeah.
So what year is it?
It is an 06.
Okay. So it's turbo.
Mm-hmm. It's
Awesome.
got 6.8 liter.
Mm-hmm.
It's it runs good. I've driven it to work once. I'm retired, but I work.
Yeah.
Insurance is kind of expensive. But I've driven it to work once, and gets warm. I'll pull the doors off of it.
Yeah.
And drive it up to work a few times just for something different. It wasn't like a bucket list vehicle. It's not like, ooh, I need a Hummer. I'm looking.
Yeah.
I just kind of stumbled into it.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
That's fun.
He called me up. He goes, "You got to come over." I said, "Okay." He goes, "Because usually it means that something needs fixed." And he goes, "You got to come over. I got something to show you." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I pull in the driveway, and here's back behind the house. There's this Hummer, and I'm like, "No way!" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You want to drive it?" I'm like,
Yeah.
I think he said, "You would go for a ride?" And I started heading over to the other side. You're standing there like, "No, go drive it." And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
So
Are they full-time four-wheel drive?
No.
Okay.
No, they've got they're weird automatics that are in them. Some of them have a park and some don't.
Right.
And you go to neutral and pull the brake, and that's what mine is. You go to neutral and pull the brake, and then you transfer cases beside it.
Okay.
And I've had it in 4-wheel drive. It works fine. We had just enough snow, and I've got pasture, so
Yeah. Had to make sure it worked.
had to make sure the 4-wheel drive worked.
exercise it.
Oh, yeah, needed to exercise it a little bit. I wanted to get out of shape. So
Yeah, I just think that's pretty cool. So
yeah, I'm going to try to put some of the military stuff back in it. I want to put I've got 2 of the gun racks where you can, if you're familiar with Humvees, they come with a tray and the floorboard, and you put the butt of your rifle
Right.
in it, and then you lock your barrel into a little metal clip. I've got 2 of them. I figured I'd get the other 2 and get them mounted in there
That'd be cool.
for no real reason other
Yeah.
than just to put them back in. I do have the radio tray. A lot of them don't come with them. Mine
Mhm.
has it. I am going to convert it over. I'm going to move. It's a 24-volt system, so already got the converter and stuff. You're going to get a phone call. But I'm going to. He's a wiring genius. He really is.
Well, nothing's caught on fire yet.
But yeah, I'm going to try to convert and put some 12-volt in there.
Yep.
So I can run some normal stuff like a phone charger or, I don't know, maybe plug in a AM/FM radio or something so I don't have to listen to the drone of that diesel. I'm usually in there by myself, so.
It's been pretty popular lately to put like an LS gas engine in them, and they've been doing lots of stuff. There's a lot of people doing some weird stuff with them.
There's people doing really weird stuff with them.
Yeah.
I have seen where the LS goes in them,
Yeah.
but they're putting LSs in everything.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd want to put an LS in it. I just don't. That thing's got so much torque.
Yeah.
Just the way it sits, you know.
Well, you have a good running one. I think most of the time when they're doing that, they got one that's barely moving. So
Yeah.
because it seems like the transmissions go out of them before anything, and then it's probably easier just to do a whole swap on both of them.
At that point, yeah. Because you're probably not going to find a transmission on Gov Planet.
Right.
You know, so,
Especially
At
one
least
you
not a
trust.
good one.
Yeah. yeah. I've seen some of the videos where guys will buy a Humvee on Gov Planet, go down, pick it up, and then try to drive them home.
Yeah. And
That's a bad idea. Unless you're an actual diesel mechanic, that is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Bring a trailer, just drive it on the trailer, take it home.
didn't the flywheels have a lot of problems?
Flywheels are bad. They'd blow apart.
Yeah.
They don't just. I mean, they literally would disintegrate. They'd come apart.
Yeah.
Power steering pumps almost always go out. The brakes can get kind of weird on them. They're just the funny part is the axles. They've got oil
Right.
in the axles, and you have to check that. Most people don't understand that you have to physically take the cap off and check
It.
Yeah. So if you don't check it, you can be driving down the road and heat up a bearing or something else, and now you're in big trouble.
Wow.
So they're heavy on maintenance.
Yeah.
They're just not something you can leave parked and just jump in and go run around. If you're gonna drive it, you need to plan for it.
Yeah.
So it's neat. It's fun. I don't know if it's the only one around here, but
I certainly haven't seen any.
yeah.
I don't.
If you see one running around, it's probably going to be me, but I don't.
I expected to see it in the parade next year.
I don't know.
The homecoming. Have the homecoming queen in the back.
Yeah, I doubt it.
No.
I doubt it. I do know car club I'm in. We meet up at Fuel House up in Bonner Springs, and we meet on the second Saturday of every month. And I think it'll probably go up there just for giggles.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Let some folks come up and get around it and see it.
Just for fun, you should put a little Mustang single on this.
Yeah.
On the side.
And I put one of the pony, the tri-pony
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
hood, on the hood or something,
Yeah.
in the grill.
Just so they won't kick you out of the club.
Yeah.
Do you still have the 66 or 67 Mustang?
Yeah, we got 67.
Yeah, it
it's-
was one of those 2 years.
Yeah, we got 67 sitting in the garage. And I just got my daily, the 01 I drive. We had three others. We had 3 going into winter.
Yeah.
So we had a total of 5 in our corral and got rid of 3 of them. So we just got these 2 right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've owned a lot of cars, but I've never owned a Mustang.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
Yeah.
Tried to buy a couple, but it just didn't happen. So,
Yeah. There's plenty of them out there.
yeah.
I'd like to. I still am hunting just an 05. I just like to find an 05, 06. I don't care if it's got an engine, transmission. I don't care if it's got interior. I just want the body for a project I'm going to do.
Wow.
So if I can find it, I'll let you in on it. But
Well, Randy, we're rolling in on an hour. You want to close this down?
Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Chatting for a while. I've got some other ideas that when it warms up, we may come out and visit you at your range.
sure. Love to have you.
I got some ideas. We may call it have a little segment. We'll call it like "Dumb Ways to Die" or something like that. So,
yeah, no, I'd love to have you out at the house. You have to call me once it gets warm. I'll start having classes again. So
yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming.
No,
Appreciate
thanks for
it.
inviting me.
Thank you very much for coming by and talking with us.
No, it was a lot of fun.
All right.